This is Ryan Elliott for Boxing Social in association with Betfred. We're down here ahead of Fight Camp Week 2 with me, former WBC Cruiserweight World Champion Tony Bellew, and now DAZN pundit as well. Tony, first and foremost, how are you?
I'm alright, thanks mate. Yourself?
I'm good, thank you for asking. Let's talk about yourself firstly. We have got this huge card coming up, but a bit of a change, a new era, Fight Camp Week 2. We just had Week 1 as well. How are you finding the change up and how are you finding the new gig as well?
I'm enjoying it. It's brilliant to have such knowledgeable pundits around us. Chris Lloyd, Darren Barker, Andy Lee. Laura Woods knows the stuff. Maya's getting there. She's coming on leaps and bounds. And it's just good to be part of something fresh, something new, something exciting, and game changed.
Game change indeed. Let's talk about the main event. Kid Galahad, Joshua-Dickens rematch, IBF featherweight world title. Jazza, obviously I've seen you around him all week and he's been talking about the influence you've had on him. In the time you've known Jazza and the time that's passed since the first fight as well, how have you seen him evolve as a fighter and a human being as well, watching him mature as well?
First of all, as a human being, he's got to be one of the best human beings I've ever met. If you made a film on his life story, they would say take it away because it's too unrealistic. He couldn't possibly have come through that and found a way out, but he did. So an absolute example to all children out there, just an amazing person. Secondly, as a fighter, he's evolving all the time. He's getting better with each and every camp. He spent time out in America, seeing that the grass isn't greener out there. They're no better than us when it comes to coaching and creating fighters. Came back home, knows how to work on his craft, has worked on his craft and has become a better fighter for it. Experienced so much in his career. He's had defeats, he's had setbacks, he always finds a way back. Never one for quitting, never one for wanting to be found out. So I'm excited for him that it all comes to fruition on Saturday night against Kid Galahad. It's a really hard fight. It's a genuine 50-50. If Jazza doesn't get his tactics right, it's one he can lose. I'm not saying that, my man's going to go out there and blow everyone out of the water. That's unrealistic. That's not real. That's not reality. It's a really, really hard fight. Galahad does some certain things extremely well. He takes away your strengths extremely well. He negates your tactics really, really well. So Joshua-Dickens has to go in there and just be him. He has to throw punches in bunches. He has to be the busier fighter. He has to go in and win rounds clearly. This can't be like a Warrington-Galahad fight. That was a really close fight. Really close. One of them where it's hard to pick. So he has to just win the rounds. Every single round is a championship fight. That's how he's got to approach it. Every single round is the last round in a really close fight. He has to approach every round like that for me. If he does that, he wins this fight. He's the more game. I don't want to say he's the more game of the two because that's unfair, but he's the more active of the two. He's made championship weight a number of times in the last 18 months. Kid Galahad's made championship weight once in the last 18 months. These are big factors going into a title fight. His punch output is far bigger and far greater than Kid Galahad's. He's got to use that to his advantage. You study and watch the Kid Galahad and Warrington fight, there's an awful lot of holding. Holding and tying people up is part of boxing. Excessive holding and excessive grappling is not part of boxing. We've got to cut that out. We've got to address this with the referee and the commissioner and the board. But make no mistake, this is a really hard fight.
One thing I wanted to ask you about, Tony, you said it there, Jazz has got an incredible story, incredible background. He's done things the hard way in boxing as well. Could leave world champion Saturday night. Can you try and explain to people what that feeling's like when you've put your life's work into something and all of a sudden you're crowned world champion, your life's work and your dream come true? Can you describe that feeling?
I can't, mate. It's just exultation. It's just happiness. It's just relief. There's so many different emotions that go through your mind. It's like it was all worth it. I've given my life to boxing. I gave me prime years. I gave everything I possibly had to the fight game, and it worked. It was worth it. So if you have a goal in your mind or something set in your mind that you want to do or be, and you achieve that, fair play. I was very fortunate enough to achieve it. I'm very proud of myself for doing it. But yeah, mate, it's so hard. But it's also so rewarding when you finally get there.
Tony, I'm going to start touching on the rest of the card. I don't want to keep you forever in a day, so we'll talk about the heavyweight. Wardley Webb, fight that's really been catching people's attention. Fabio Wardley, considering his amateur pedigree, really caught the eye so far as a pro. Dangerous fight though.
Really like Fabio Wardley. I like his mobility, his dexterity, the way he moves, the shots he picks. I think it's admirable, like the fights he's faced so far in his career. I thought the Eric Molina fight was a bit of a mad fight at a strange time in his career, but he stepped up to the plate, got the job done. Nick Webb, the knockout of Pfeiffer, shows that he's not to be taken lightly. He's very heavy-handed. So it's an interesting fight, it's an interesting clash of styles. It's one both fighters believe that they're going to win. But the reality of it is, Fabio Wardley's unbeaten. Nick Webb's been defeated a couple of times. Was a heavy knockout loss to Dave Allen. So, you know, you have to make Fabio Wardley the favourite coming in. But at the same time, you can never write off a puncher of Nick Webb's quality. Very, very dangerous. So, you know, the questions will be answered on Saturday night. Fabio Wardley's got to go in there, he's got to shine, he's got to defend that English title. And I'm looking forward to it.
Also on the bill, Alen Babic has been his usual colourful self all week. He was making noise at the press conference yesterday. He was slapping people at the weigh-in today. Tomorrow night he's got Mark Bennett in front of him, who has about 60 pounds on him. We still don't know what's going to happen when Alen Babic is taken deeper into a fight. Is that what Mark Bennett's got to try and do?
Without a shadow of a doubt, he's got to use that weight as his advantage. He's got to smother Babic's work. He's got to get close to the 2 or 3 rounds and then see what's left after that of Babic. It's a really hard task because Babic is so active, so live, throws everything from every angle. It is a tough, hard boy. But I'm not going to lie, outside of my own stable of fighters, he's my favourite prospect in the country. I just love him. He's TV gold. He's just brilliant from start to finish. You don't know what he's going to say, you don't know what he's going to do. He's not in control of himself in any way, shape or form. I relate to that and I like it. So, long may it continue the Babic reign. This boy's got other plans tomorrow. It was nice to see that he wasn't overawed or intimidated too much by that weigh-in. Babic taps his face straight away. It was an immediate reaction. Didn't need to think about it. Tried to slap him back and take the mask off his face at the same time. Babic feels extremely offended. I've just seen him and had to cool him down in the office. I says, there's no fighting in the hotel. There's not. I said, lad, save it for tomorrow. Like, I'm going to kill him. He reeks of fear. So he's brilliant. I don't know how good my impression was, but it is what it is. You can't help but, as I say, love Alen the Savage Babic. He's I can't say it again, mate, he's gold. He's TV gold. Enjoy him while he's here. I'm not sure on the level he's going to get to. He's told me he is a cruiserweight, but he's fighting these heavyweights because he enjoys it. So, let's see where it goes. He's a right handful for anyone, let's be totally honest, heavyweight or cruiserweight, because he doesn't care what's coming back. He throws an awful lot of heavy-handed punches, and he's ruthless. They're the 3 things that he is.
Just to skate through the rest of the card, Tony, we've got Johnny Fisher in against Danny Whittaker, who's got some good domestic level experience. Ebony Bridges back, Akib Fiaz as well. Who are you looking forward to seeing tomorrow night earlier on the card?
Ebony Bridges has got a few points to prove. She goes in with a girl who's faced an awful lot of good fighters, so she can find the barometer of where she's at. She's got to go in there and do something that the others, well, she's been stopped before, but the lighter girls haven't usually stopped her. So it will be interesting to see. It's been usually the bigger girls like Tasha Jonas who have stopped her. So we'll find out where Ebony Bridges is at. And that's it. Johnny Fisher, anyone who's involved with Mark Tibbs is going to be able to fight. Mark Tibbs is a good coach. Comes from a brilliant boxing pedigree and family, and Jimmy Tibbs, one of the greatest trainers this country's ever seen. It'll be interesting to see. You know, let's see what his opponent's got to offer. You need to see him in sterner tests as time goes on. But listen, this guy, I think, has never been stopped before. He went lost on points to Nick Webb in the boxer tournament. So by losing only on points to Nick Webb, it shows he can half take a shot. So Johnny Fisher's got to show us something maybe a little bit different on Saturday night. But as I say, I'm looking forward to a good card, stacked from top to bottom. It's mad because this fight card could be over in an hour and a half, or it could be on for 3 hours. You know, the 3 heavyweight bouts are big bouts, they're all big boys, so I don't expect anything to go the distance, but at the same time, you just don't know in boxing. This is why we tune in, this is why we love it, so bring it on, mate, just bring it on.
Just a couple things away from this card, Tony. One thing I want to ask you about is Joshua-Usyk. You obviously know Anthony Joshua very well. You shared the ring of Alexander Usyk. What can and what will Alexander Usyk do to trouble Anthony Joshua on September 25th?
He'll just get in and be himself, and that's what I mean by saying that is he'll be an unbelievable boxer. He's the best boxer Anthony Joshua will ever face in his whole career, bar anyone. From what he can do, the style he's got, the way he moves, the things he does, he is unbelievable. So I'm still in awe of him, and I got beat up off him. So he's exceptional. But AJ has size, he has the power. He has the speed to get close to him, to make him work and make him pay. And I think that will catch up with Alexander Usyk eventually. If he was fighting anybody else besides me friends, I would be cheering him on and wishing him well. But he just keeps fighting me friends, and which is a terrible shame, because I'm a huge fan of Alexander Usyk and I'm a huge admirer of his work. So, brilliant fighter, but I just think AJ's a step too far.
You mentioned it there, the size and the power are the two things people seem to be citing a lot in this fight. With Alexander Usyk, when you're in the ring with him, how would you rate his power? Is it more the accuracy of his work, if anything?
I was absolutely exhausted after 7 rounds. Just spent, completely spent. I was exhausted after. Why? Because he made me tired. He's imposing. When you think he's out of range, he's in range. When he's in range, you think he's out of range. A constant pressure with the feet all of the time, and it's draining. It's absolutely draining. No one's ever made me that tired, ever. Just an exceptional fighter. I rate him highly. Not the biggest puncher, but very accurate. And as I've said, once he gets you as tired as he does, you don't need to be the biggest puncher. You just need to be able to be accurate and land clean on the chin. And as we've seen against me, he finds a way to do that. An amazing fighter. Has every right to say he's the greatest cruiserweight that's ever lived. Has every right to say it. Look at the job he done. He just completely shuts out the likes of your Gassievs. They don't even touch him. He's laughing at them. They don't even get near him. The best travelled fighter in the history of boxing goes to everyone's backyard and beats them in their own turf. Literally the best travelled fighter the world's ever seen goes to everyone else's backyard. I couldn't speak any more highly of him.
Just a couple of things, Liverpool boxing, before I let you go, Tony. We've had Liam Smith and Anthony Fowler announce a huge night for Merseyside. Liam Smith was doing the media rounds the other day, full of confidence, thinks it's far too soon for Anthony Fowler to be stepping in with him. Fowler thinks it's the right time as well. What are the keys to victory in this fight? What makes it such an exciting fight as well?
Keys to victory? It's a hard one, because both fighters are going to want to win, obviously, but both fighters are going to want to win impressively. That's the big thing. For Liam, probably doesn't really want to be there and need this fight, but money talks in boxing, and that's the main reason why the fight's happening. And fair play to Eddie and fair play to Liam for taking it, fair play to Anthony Fowler for wanting it, but he's bypassing domestic level here in one big leap, and that's a dangerous thing to do, especially when you've already been in the deep end at domestic level with the likes of Fitzgerald, and you've come undone a little bit. So, he will have learned from it without shadow of a doubt. He's telling me that he feels great under Shane McGuigan. He's a different fighter now, but ultimately he's going to be asked a lot of questions in the Liam Smith fight. Liam's a veteran of the sport now. He's someone who can really fight inside and outside, knows the game, has been through tough moments, knows how to survive the dodgy parts in a fight. All these things that I'm talking about, Liam Fowler hasn't been through yet. He's been in one really hard fight in his career. So it's a really, really hard fight for Anthony Fowler, because he hasn't shown us that he's got the credentials to be in with someone like Liam Smith yet, and that's the big thing. There's all the questions are being aimed at Anthony Fowler. None of them are at Liam Smith. And as I said before, Liam's like, why am I fighting this fella? So that can also play a bit of a factor when you're getting ready for these fights, because you kind of question, well, I don't need this. This shouldn't really be happening. But it is, because, as I've said before, money talks in boxing. So he's found himself in this predicament. In his last fight against the Russian, I thought he'd done enough. But I'm not going to lie and say Liam was like the old Liam. No, he weren't. He's a different fighter now. He's adapting and he's adjusting, as good fighters do. But I also see the reason why someone like Shane McGuigan will have the final say and say, I fancy that fight. Because for Shane McGuigan, he's looking at this. He hasn't been with Anthony Fowler for long, but he'll take into consideration his age, where he's at, where he's going, and he'll think, if he can't beat Liam Smith at the stage that he's at, then really, I don't see where he goes. Yes, he can come back if he loses, but it's a long road back. And for Liam, you're now swimming in them career-defining fights, your career-ending fights, because you lose this and there's nowhere to go, really, I'm not going to lie. But I say Liam Smith's a really good fighter. He's got a really good coach in his corner in Joe McNally, a brilliant coach in Joe McNally, someone who's massively underrated. Joe McNally and Declan O'Rourke are a really good team. and it'll be good to see. You know, it'll be a really good fight for the city. I just think it's got the potential of getting a bit nasty, really, which I'm not looking forward to. But listen, it's boxing. This stuff kind of happens, and you get used to it. You get ingrained in it for a long time. You understand what's coming, what's going to get said, what's going to happen. So, yeah, man, let's just look forward to it.
Another Smith I wanted to ask you about. I've seen the jacket there, and this just sort of sprung to my mind. You got Arturo Gatti there, who obviously worked with the great mind of Buddy McGirt all those years ago. Callum Smith has linked up with Buddy McGirt. What do you make of that move as he bids to set about the light heavyweight division? Buddy McGirt's someone that's worked with a lot of great light heavyweights.
Of course, Callum Smith's a brilliant fighter. Buddy McGirt's been involved with actually the likes of Antonio Tarver, people like that. Buddy's a hired gun. Comes in, he does a job, makes adjustments, makes changes. And it's what suits Callum that's most important. Callum's a brilliant fighter in his own right. Technically very good. More to come from him. I think the last few fights at super middleweight were just a step too far. Really struggling at the weight. Issues in the background before his last fight with Canelo. So he's got it all to prove, but he's more than good enough to do it. Callum Smith, I'm a huge admirer of, really good fighter. Comes from the same school as me every Sunday. We all do. So, as I say, mate, it'll be interesting to see how his career pans out, who he looks at fighting next. And ultimately, as I've said before, inactivity is the biggest killer of fighters. We've all got to start getting more active, and they've now got the opportunity with the zone to do that. Bills all the time. Activity is what makes fighters better. So, look at Galahad-Dickens, the run he's been on, to the Golden Contract Tournament, to the things that happened, the wins, everything's coming together now, and the crescendo is Saturday night for Galahad-Dickens. It can be the same for all the other fighters around. Get busy, and want to fight good people, and the world's your oyster.
Last question, Tony. I just want to reflect on the exploits of Team GB out in Tokyo. 6 medals guaranteed. I think that's a record post-war for Team GB within boxing. Unbelievable effort from the boys and girls out there, Tony.
Absolutely amazing. Robert McCracken should be given some kind of decorated once again, even further than he already is. The best boxing coach our nation has ever seen on the amateur circuit and stage. He has made, along with the other coaches, Richie Woodall, Lee Pull and Bob Dylan, there's so many of you guys who are missing out, I know. But all you guys on the setup with GB were there when I was there. You're there now, you're under Robert. You have all now made Team GB one of the most feared nations in the world. That alone is an outstanding achievement. Well done. As I said, I can't speak highly enough of Robert McCracken, a brilliant coach, a man who knows the game inside out, both amateur and professional. Was an outstanding boxer himself. One of the very unfortunate ones who didn't get to win a world title just purely because he outgrew the weight, but was an amazingly talented fighter, technically brilliant. So a massive well done to all of them. I'm hoping Yafai brings home the gold and the other one as well. So much to be excited about. Ben Whittaker, an absolute winner to the core. Pick your chin up, lad. There's nothing to be down about with the silver medal. I know you feel like you've lost gold rather than won silver, but ultimately you've arrived on a stage. You've now arrived. The world knows who you are. Well done. You're the second best fighter in the whole entire world. That's an amazing achievement. It really is. And I believe if you keep that desire and keep that drive, one day you will be the best fighter in the world. So fair play, good on you, and good luck. And to all the other athletes, exceptional. Fraser Clark, the big man has got a medal. I'm so happy for him. Such a lovely, lovely lad. A diamond of a person. So the McCormacks, I'm missing out names I know once again, but there's so much talent among them young boys, and Robert McCracken's nurtured that squad and team since the end of 2008. As I've said, to make the GB setup one of the most feared setups in the world is an unbelievable achievement. Well done.
Tony, thank you as always. Speaking of Boxing Social, I'll let you go now. Cheers.